Thank you, Jeff.
I don't know that there is. So, okay, Sheriff's Department here. So, all of these items, I don't think any of those went through Health and Emergency Services. I'd entertain a motion to defer.
Second.
Well, I didn't make a motion. I just entertained.
I'll motion.
Good, so you got the motion?
I got the second.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second to defer. Any discussion on this? I'll get in queue, but anything else?
Is this all of four?
All four.
On the deferral, can you have for items A and B, since they involve ARPA, to actually have them to send that to Ms. Norfleet, where we can have the consultants to look at it and possibly even, if it's determined to be a good project, to go and look at procurements for bidding to see what the actual prices are.
And I completely agree with Mr. Long, because that's where this discussion of moving the money into regular operating started. I recommended to Mr. Craddock, or Deputy Craddock, that we actually use things that we would normally buy for ARPA, so that this is the root of what I was bringing forward earlier. So I am for using this for this, but it just needs to go through
Just
committee.
ask him to forward it to Ms. Norfleet, where it can get evaluated by our consultants to see if there's any issue.
Okay, whoever made the,
A and B.
A
Yeah.
and B to defer.
Okay, I'll go along with that.
okay. Any other discussion on this one? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Stormwater project. I entertain a motion.
Motion to refer back to Gen Ops.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I'm gonna get in queue on this one. I would like to hear from the county mayor that is there something that might break here?
Well, you push it a month, it could delay the project,
I thought we just moved to A and B.
and the cost could increase.
But will this delay the opening of the courthouse?
No, we're not
All
delaying the
four
opening.
except for A and
B.
This is dealing with the parking garage.
So it's the garage only and it's not going to?
But you may have to have the construction made an additional month, maybe the charges.
So there may be a fee.
Because we were already at
It will increase cost.
Okay. Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman,
It's already increased.
I understand, you know, what's going on here, and I think I would like, if the mayor's amenable to it, work with him and Ms. Norfleet as the chairman of General Ops. Some of these numbers are really, really high. For instance, the total contract by the pipe contractor is $400,000, but the average price of this amount of pipe would be about $48,200 if it were put out in a field where there was nothing. Now, I realize Franklin Road is potentially a rat's nest of trouble digging in it. We've got power lines we have to support, we've got all kinds of things, but my problem is, I believe, Mr. Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, we've only got one price on this because there's not been time to bid out, and the reason there's not been time to bid out is because we only found out about it 2 weeks ago.
Also, I think part of this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mayor or Mr. Long, but I think all of this rolls up underneath we have a construction manager at risk, and you can argue that is not really a risk-based contract, and I think it was not well built, but I don't actually think we have the ability necessarily to bid this out, do we?
This is an amendment to that contract.
Yeah.
I do believe, and I think, it's been through legal already, hasn't it, Mayor? This particular
I've
amendment.
had so many, I'm not,
Does anybody remember right now? Maybe?
Has this one been, Mr. Mayor?
And I believe this is. the
I'm
amendment
up to date on whatever's been sent to me by the mayor's office, so.
Let me see, I believe this is amendment to the contract, let's see.
Kim could probably give you some light on this. If you want to suspend rules.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead.
The next step after approval of the budgeted amount would be getting the fully executed AIA contract. Because we met with the city of Gallatin and change the original scope based off of their discussion to make it easier on us, hopefully potentially cut down on some of the costs, to move the line to the center of the road, shifting it over, so hopefully we can avoid some of those impediments of the line, of the water line, that's existing. The city has agreed to move that water line to the other side of the road as well as part of their joint cost of the project. So Emily Horn is working on finalizing that alternate design plan. They should have that done by the end of next week. From there, we will meet with Turner one more time to price out these costs and then prepare the AIA change order.
So it had to come.
So
This is a
gonna
change
be
order.
an up to amount. It would be a change order to our original contract.
So it's part of the Turner contract.
Yes.
It's a change order to the Turner contract because it's beyond their control when it gets amended and based on their.
Mr. Klein and Ms. Vance, or, Ms. Miller.
Ms. Norfleet, there's, one of the qualifications in the contract is unknown subsurface conditions allowance, $100,000. Does that mean we're paying them $100,000?
No, they will have to show proof
Okay.
for that additional cost. It'll be an allowance.
Okay.
So they would have to submit to us based off of what they found, and then we would have to, as we go, approve that 100,000. It's an allowance. They don't just automatically get that amount.
Okay.
One item that I had looked at was the superintendent cost.
The
They're already
31,000.
paying a superintendent for the garage, so what, I wanted to talk to them a little more on what that cost is, so we might be able to get that cost down potentially.
That would make sense.
So there is still some opportunity to work with Turner on these costs, in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Before we get that, change order AIA document.
Great.
prepared.
But the construction part was part of the construction manager risk contract.
Chrissy, do you have
Go, Ms. Miller.
Do we have a project manager yet on this job?
No, we'll have, Turner will be the project manager on
Any other discussion on this one?
Is
Oh,
that
go ahead,
just
Ms.
project manager for the garage? Or is that for the?
this. They're finishing up punch list items in the garage as well.
So it's, they're gonna be the project manager for both the courthouse and the garage, or just the garage?
They've
Or
been
not?
construction
Now,
manager.
they've been the construction manager on both of them.
I mean, I'm sorry if I missed.
We don't have a
the
separate project manager, no.
Okay.
They've been the construction manager the whole time. We've actually had a separate contractor that was actually a consultant to help us work on that, so that they were the construction manager.
Does anybody else, oh, go ahead.
I apologize, I'm not on general ops, so I just didn't know.
Can I just ask, and I'm not trying to be harsh here, but what happened? What, I mean, how did we not, how did we miss this?
The stormwater cost was never part of Turner's scope.
Why? I mean, they have to, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be, I wish they were here, I'm not trying to be harsh to you, but like, that, they're an
What's
engineering
next?
firm.
It's my question.
Like, how did we,
I
you know,
wasn't involved in
they're-
all those discussions, but between the project manager and the city of Gallatin, they
And-
met over time. The city agreed to do the survey work for the stormwater, and then the county agreed to do the design. And then that's where we're at. We finalized the design in December with Kimley Horn. We met with the city, to discuss if that was the feasible route. And then based on that discussion, there were ways to improve the design, so we went with the alternative.
so the
design.
county stated that we would do the design for the stormwater?
Yes.
Okay, so when did we decide, when did we complete that?
We did the contract back in August.
So August, that,
Randall Coy helped negotiate that. Originally, there was a different contractor that
so
was
we,
in the-
when did the design get completed?
In December.
It got completed in December.
And we had our meeting with the city of Gallatin,
So it took
reviewed it.
6 months to get it,
In August, when they started. their-
yes, well, September, October, November, I
it's
guess
typical,
4
about-
months
About 3 to 4 months is typical.
for the,
Well,
and we didn't, it's just,
This is an item that's been on the project manager's monthly report, which those had been supplied to general ops before Randall there's been a number of delays that got us to where we are. But it's a cost that we've gotta connect. We have the stormwater detention system that's part of the garage design. It currently does not connect anywhere. We have to connect into the city storm. It's a cost that we have to do.
Thank you. Mr. Klein, well, I don't know that you may have, there may be some other questions for you.
No,
Mr. Klein.
I won't ask my question.
Okay, I guess I have one more question,
But
Ms.
I think
Norfleet.
we can work, like Mr. Klein said, if y'all approve the money and the commission approves the money in 2 weeks, we can work together. This isn't the final number.
Well, can I just ask kind of real plainly here, is there any upside in terms of financial benefit to delaying this? Is there any way in which this number is going to decrease if we do more diligence over the course of the next month?
I think we'll already be doing that. As the design is finalized next week, we'll have one more meeting with the city of Gallatin to make sure they're all signed off on everything. They are already going forward and applying for the TDEC permit for them to relocate the water line. Their engineer is starting the design process
Okay.
in the next couple of weeks, because that's the other side of this. They have to relocate their water line to the other side of the road, and we're trying to do all of this work before June so that it does not delay the parking garage.
Okay.
And then the city's gonna come in after the fact and repave the road as well.
I think Ms. Miller was first, and then Mr. Klein. Ms. Miller.
So, was this on general ops?
We talked about it.
We talked about it, it was not, it was part of the line item that said progress on parking structure. And because Chairman had let me know the week prior that this was coming up, we asked, the question just came up. It came up because it's obviously a big hitch and a big bill.
And I did have it on the information last month, but it got removed because of the way the meeting was noticed. We couldn't give the update on the parking garage.
Okay.
So I couldn't have come back in an email? I'm asking a question. Could that have not been information given to
Yeah,
us?
you know what,
in the
that's,
email?
hey, you know
This was
what?
sent out,
Yeah.
I got this today, and it was sent out to all the commissioners when I received it.
No, I guess when I get that about
So-
earlier last week, I called you on it, because
Yeah,
about general ops.
You said, here's a heads up.
Here's a heads up. I mean, you know what?
So
Hey,
this transpired between, that's what I'm asking.
2 weeks we've known about it.
a little less.
I mean, I understand that it was on Randall Coy's reports, but I've never experienced this, so it was not on my
In general
radar.
ops in December, Mayor Isabel gave a report and said that we were meeting with the city of Gallatin that Friday, December 8th. And then we met with them based off of that this alternative design came forward. With the Wednesday after Christmas, Mayor Isabel and I met with Turner, and that's when these costs were proposed and given. And then we forwarded it on to budget for the agenda that was due that following.
Yeah,
that
it was
next
not
Thursday.
much of a turnaround before
I mean,
this was put out there.
Turner has worked with us, the city has worked with us, I feel like, to pull all this together so it does not delay the opening of the parking garage.
Mr. Klein?
But, you know, you can pay a whole lot of money to not delay it a month. And, you know, when I look at $600,000 and the pipe cost alone is $48,200, I have to ask, why are we not getting another price or two?
That was the thrust of my question here. Is there any way that, like, let's say Mr. Klein, you know, determines an alternate path, is there any way we have any authority or ability to reduce this dollar amount?
I mean, we can work with Turner and negotiate on the price, but I don't think we can tell them who they have to use. I mean, that's their purview.
Is the state law not that we have to get three prices?
We usually have to bid things. This one we did different. We did a construction manager risk that was supposed to be a fixed price
Right.
on the building and on the garage. The actual contract had a contingency in there that said anything beyond their control that the architect signed off on, basically was an adjustment to us, which I didn't negotiate the contract. It also talked about war and COVID, not COVID, but stuff similar.
Acts of God.
So what basically happened, COVID happened and the price escalated. Well, after COVID was gone, I had the question because the price kept escalating. Well, we went and at the time made legal sign off on all the changes, and that's when we started looking at it real closely. What they were using or what they are using, it basically, and I don't know the exact verbiage, but legal looked at it too. It says if it's beyond their control and the architect signs off on it, it's a price adjustment to us. I've been arguing it's not a construction manager at risk. I argued it with audit, but formally, legal, they argued that it is a construction manager at risk and audit took that, so.
I
Prior legal, I might do it.
propose that we,
They don't want audit to agree with my.
between ESA and Kimley Horn, ESA is our architect of record, and Kimley Horn is completing this design, that we work with them, Chairman Klein, and wants to be a part of it, and then Mayor Isbell and I, we meet with Turner next week, once we have the final design, and we flush out these numbers.
But that's something's gonna go to legal too, so they're going to determine is this a change order based upon that, which I think it's probably gonna be, but what we've run into so far.
But my question is more basic than that. We're talking only to Turner. This is basically a public works project. It's going in a public street. We're talking only to Turner to make this connection to this filtration box, which is a federal requirement through the Clean Water Act of 1970, whatever it is. So this is simply connecting an 18 and then increasing that to a 24-inch storm drain in a public road, connecting to an existing 24-inch that runs up North Water. Why are we locked into Turner? Not that I have no problems with Turner, they're a great company. And the one pipe contractor they have talked to, when I know we're getting hosed here. I just do.
My concern is, and this is something that legal, I will say is gonna look at, the garage in the courthouse was fair construction. It says anything beyond their control. I have the same question.
Control or scope, David?
It says beyond their control. And it does not say unreasonably foreseen or anything, so you kind of, that's left for interpretation. My question is, should have this been part of the original contract? That's something legal's going to have to look at. I mean, that's something they're going to have to look at and sign off on as a change order. If it's not part of the original some way, then you're correct, it would be.
You know,
part of this.
I was, the fact that this one, I just want to get this on the record. The downside risk, I'm gonna state these things, and Mr. Mayor, Ms. Norfleet, please correct me if I'm wrong. One, this is decoupled from the opening of the courthouse, therefore we do not bear a liability risk of not opening the courthouse and mitigating against courthouse-based risk if we were to delay this. Is that a true statement? Hold on, let me get these out.
Yeah.
I just want to get these factual things out there. Is that a true statement? They're decoupled. Okay, item 2. The downside risk of this is that a continued, if we defer this, then we could potentially bump this, and I don't know what the probability of it is, but we could potentially bump this beyond June, and that would, because of the way this contract is structured with Turner, we would incur additional costs to keep them on the project. Is that a true statement? Is that the downside? Mr. Line?
Yes, but also this contract's this change order's gonna have to be reviewed by legal to determine why it's a change order at this point.
Well, what is?
My question is like the most things we ran into was like escalation of costs, running into a void space. This is a whole drainage that we know is gonna have to be done as part of a garage and courthouse, and Mr. Klein has got a very significant question. Is this really part of that? Should it not have been part of it? If it's not part of that, we should be bidding it. If it is part of it, then it's another whole question of why it's not included. There's a whole question on this one. He's got a good point. If it's not part of it.
Because if it's not scope,
it
then
may
we
be a
can
separate-
bid it.
Maybe a separate contract. But But I don't know, that's something we need to look at.
Yeah, we have to.
Well, and additionally, people might say, we gotta have that parking structure. Why?
Yeah, I mean,
Right now, everybody parks around the old courthouse. The new one's a half a block away.
It's something
any,
beyond their
any,
control. Is it
any
beyond
further,
their control?
any further discussion on this?
Call the question.
All right, so the motion is to defer this.
I'll remove that. That's my.
Refer it.
You send it back for legal review too.
Refer it.
Refer it to
Refer it.
Gen
All
Ops.
right.
general ops.
Gen Ops.
Can ask them to be the motion.
It's been
I'll
called. Question's been
add the
called.
legal.
No, I didn't have a second.
Oh, okay. So what is it?
And I'll add the legal review.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor? Oh, aye.
Is the second good?
Oh, is second good with that?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Does the contract exist right now?
Well, that's the question. Yeah, contract exists.
We
The
don't know.
question is whether this is
No,
scoped.
she's got something going on with Gallatin for we're trying to get some final plan in play.
Part of this, the city of Gallatin is going to relocate the water line. They're submitting plans to PDEC for that and doing the engineering, so. That's a
We'll tell
piece that
Gallatin
the
to
city
pause.
did-
We'll tell Gallatin boss.
Is that a separate bit of construction, or is all of this encompassed in one
It's
thing?
separate from this.
Is there anything for me to review, I guess, is the question at this point in
Right now,
time?
based off of what's in your packet, that would be the premise of the AIA change order. But, like I said, next week, we'll have the final design and we would meet.
All right.
So I'd say between now and Gen Ops.
We're totally out of order
Yeah.
here. I'm gonna bring us back into order. We have I think this can be covered in the part of the amendment that asked for you to, for the law director to investigate this, so I think we're okay. Let's move on into.
So move to group approve B1,
All right, you got a second?
Second.
We have 6 and 7.
We have 6 and 7.
Oh, yeah, we do have six and seven, I had them. So we are at, we're
Six and
at,
seven we added.
Oh, yeah, that-
item 6 under appropriation. This appropriate $42,133 for EMA. I'm gonna make a note on here. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
What is this?
This is,
Can I kind of explain
Go
what's
ahead.
going on? Last year, basically, you've got all your communication system in the county. There's a support cost and a maintenance cost. Mr. Widener, he costed out to the different cities. He called the contractor last year, the contractor, the vendor, contractor, is the vendor, and asked him for the amounts. Unbeknownst to him, they've been giving him a 10% discount each year. They quoted him for the 10% discount, but the discount ended. So they've underquoted him about $42,000. The bill was due in December, or early January, when's it due? December 1st. Due December 1st, so this bill is due now for all the towers, so we need $42,000 to pay it. That's the only reason I ask if we can do something, or you guys can do something with it tonight. I know it's not been through emergency services, but we need to pay the support on the communication towers in this county. So it's almost an emergency at this point. The thing is, they did send Kim the wrong numbers is how we got here. It's nothing he did. He's got the email from them, we've got the email, so they supplied the wrong numbers.
so short story here, this is a bill that we owe.
Right, they supplied him with
It's an
the wrong
emergency
numbers.
too.
It's a bill we owe, and if we don't pay it, we're
We need to go pay, we're going to support all of them.
correct.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules so we can hear from the EMA director.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Widener.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. So, last year, the invoice was like $359,000, this year's $290,000. So last year, there was a balance of $157,000 because we can't pay into the next fiscal year. I was not aware of that. That $157,000 went back to general fund. The $290,305 that I requested in the current budget, there would be a shortfall because they paid the last part of that out of this $290,305. So what we're trying to do is get it in line with a fiscal budget. December 1st, we're going to pay 7 months to June 30, start fresh July 1st. So it's not costing any more money. $157,000 went back to general fund last year, and they paid out of this budget, so it's put us $42,000 short. So I'm not asking for, I've got to have money, but $157,000 was put back in budget. That's what Beth told me today.
Well, I got the email right here. The issue is your bill is $322.
Beth described it
Right, but I'm
succinctly
taking,
to me today.
if you take
Yeah.
the bills on your end, divide it by 322,
Yeah.
we're paying, so it's 188,000. They're
Yeah.
charging you 322, not 29.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Right.
No.
If we don't, then we don't need the 42,000, Ken, I'm telling you right now.
So what,
Okay.
The
Whatever
email's
makes it
right
right,
here.
but Beth explained it to.
Right, but I mean,
manager
where's
to
the
me
email
today.
at that you passed out?
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
One of
it's
these
not
things
a-
should stay.
Let's go through it because when you add up your two amounts, they're 322, not 290.
So it's 221, hold on, I got it right here. It's $221,682.06 for system maintenance. It's $880 for software support, for a total of $322,562.06 total per schedule.
That's
So,
for 7 months.
so what this happened here is it's been prorated out. So prorated for 7 months is $188,161.20, and then the 290 is the total annual.
Yeah.
So
Is the
they
total
quoted,
annual.
right, they quoted you an annual of 290. But when we go back to the schedule, the annual is actually 322,562.
No.
That's what the
That's what she's
numbers
got
are.
right here, and that's what's on
No,
the
they-
schedule with that.
That's what it says.
I understand what the schedule said, what they were invoicing us for was the 290, and then they took the 7 months out for the 188.
Rob, let me tell you, if you take 322 divided by 12 and times it by the number of months, Ken, it comes to 188. It's 322 they're charging you.
Okay.
So if we're not, then we need to go back. to
Well, then all I know is 157 went back to general fund last year that we didn't use, so to get that this year is 42.
Well, let's just put this way, we can argue about this. Do we owe a bill?
We owe 44 more thousand.
Do we owe, just for the record, do we owe a bill of $44,000?
Yes.
$42,133.
Right. And
So
this-
we owe a bill.
Right, this is the way that cost works for services. If you have a service and you prepaid, it gets expensed in the year you use it. So if you think about this scenario, what if I went out and bought 10 years worth of software? You're not gonna expense 10 years worth of
I get
software
it,
this
I
year.
get it.
It's the same thing with programming. The difference was partially, maybe that, we'll have to look at it. But the thing is, if we take your schedule back here that they sent you, and we do it by the number of months, it comes to 188,000, not the 290 that they sent you earlier.
But that's not the software, that's for the maintenance as well.
Yeah, it's both of them.
Both of them together
Both of them
wrong.
together, both of them together, then prorated.
That's both of them.
But at the, we owe, we can disagree on how we got to it, and we can, but what we agree is that we still owe a bill of $42,103.
Yes.
Okay, we both agree on that. So, I would like to entertain a motion, because we owe a bill, to appropriate $42,133.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
it's motion and a
And
second,
if
Ms.
I can
Boyd.
just amend that we get this figured out and straightened out before budget, so we don't
Yes,
have to talk
please.
about it, please.
I would, would you incorporate that in?
I'm good with that.
Okay,
If
is the second
everybody's-
good with that? All right, so we don't need an amendment, it's incorporated. Any further discussion here? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So, do we need to wait a second reading for that?
Yes.
Wait a second.
So let's take it
We're gonna
again.
wait this.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that carries without the second reading. We can pay this
All right.
bill.
Thank you.
All righty, so now, Mr. Klein, we have a discussion of an organizational chart.
Yeah.
Do we want to?
This will be quick, I promise. Okay, so.
Oh, we need a motion for discussion.
Oh.
I mean, you may not get a second.
Motion for discussion.
Second.
Thank you.
Where is this? Is this a handout or is this? I know, but do we have a handout for this?
Well,
All right, Mr. Klein, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I thought Mr. Schoaf was gonna make a handout, but he didn't, and I neglected to. So this is what it says. Chairman Schoaf, pursuant to our need to create an organizational chart of the entire workforce of all departments in Sumner County, excepting the Sumner County school system, we are requesting that in the processing of the next budget cycle, your committee require from each department a complete organizational chart. This organizational chart should include the name of every employee within the department, his or her job title, and a complete description of each employee's responsibilities. Furthermore, the chart should be created in such a way as to show the direct superior of each employee. It should also cluster subgroups or teams within the department. Thank you for your help in this matter.
So I just have one, go ahead, and then I'm gonna get.
So what we're asking for is when the budgets come in March, they include an organizational chart for their department along with the budget.
So, I've got a question for, either the finance department or the, law department or finance department, can we do this by statute? Can we make a approval of a budget contingent on a org chart?
If you look at the general law and the private act, it kind of says they will get a request to me for their upcoming expenses and revenues, but it never mentions org chart. The question being, we require them to do long-term planning, do we my long-term planning cycle? The org chart, I'm not really sure, I think we can request it, I mean, really strongly.
Or can we?
And I could put that in my email.
But do we have any ability to?
I don't think so, but maybe Eric said differently.
I've not been able to find anything that goes one way or the other, and contingent upon further research, I'm gonna have to
I am happy
say
to.
I need to research that further.
This is me personally, well, okay, I would like to amend that just to, well, or I would make a motion to request that the finance director and the law director look into this matter and see what we can do as a part of this.
Well, let me say, logistically though, you've got to look at it this way. They said they'll send me the request for their expenditures and the coming revenue, but you guys in the budget committee recommended the county commission, so if you make a strong request, it may behoove them to send it to you.
Sure.
Unless they want
I
last
just
year's,
want to know.
unless they want last year's
I
appropriation.
just want to know what
It's
options we got.
logistical possibility.
But I don't have a second yet.
Well, the concern too, when we met with Commissioner Harrison, thought that it was
I
gonna
don't have a
create
second.
two.
There's no second.
I think it was
Well,
two, please don't quote me
we're
if I'm
still on
wrong, you can
discussion.
correct me, but
We
I
have
think
to
he was
discuss.
concerned it might create
How's
two
everybody
more
doing?
positions, by having this organizational chart. So my mindset was, well, let me go ahead and, vote up for this to move it to budget to see, just to kind of brainstorm and see if that's gonna create more jobs.
My office has a org chart. It's got the position and each person's thing, and then I have a job description. I don't have labeled who's in there, but if you go to the budget doc, they're all labeled. So a lot of the offices will have that. The question is, several of your offices probably got that, I would guess, but, I'll be more happy to ask for it, but I'm not sure.
I'll second for discussion. But, you said you had an old org chart. Now, why
I've
don't
got
we?
some from before my
Yeah,
time.
I know,
yes.
that's what I'm saying. So why can't we just do the budget against this organizational chart? And that way it kind of forces them to bring us an updated one if they want all these, extra things.
Depends on how old it is, I guess.
Well, that's what I mean.
And if everybody sent one, I think if somebody else requests, I'm pretty sure they send them a complete one.
I mean, if they want to be funded against an old org chart, we'll do that.
Well,
But if they
I don't
want,
think we would be
if-
able, that
well,
was my question, like, cause we, with maintenance of effort is already beyond that.
I
org
know
chart.
that, but where is it justified? That's what I would.
I get,
like to know.
I get the ask, I just don't know, and I'm for it, I just don't know how much power we have to lever.
Yeah,
Mr. Lyon.
and I don't know the legalities of it, but from a common sense standpoint, we are the financial part of the government. We are the legislative. We hold the purse strings. How on earth can we determine what they need is right or wrong in a budget if we don't even know how many people work in that department? It's a pretty hard thing, and it's basic to all business. We need to run the county like a business. So, and I don't think we're going to get a lot of pushback. I know Josh Suddeth's department has a great org chart. David Lawing's got a great org chart. I would think most departments in the county do. So,
So
enough said.
I don't know that we even need can we get a,
I'll
can
just-
look into this?
I'll just
We
put
need
a
motion for
request
that.
on my email.
We just defer to old business,
Yeah, that's
but, and I'll be glad to shoot out what I've got to the
Okay.
respective departments, and they can modify it, gives them a starting point anyway.
Well, and I do wanna know what lever we have here to, to like, what we can do.
We're gonna send out requests in the next couple of weeks for budgets, for people to send their budgets. I can just add that to the email
That's
that you
fine.
guys are requesting it for now.
That's
And
fine.
if people don't comply, then you can determine what action
What we
can
can
be
do.
taken.
Anything else we wanna discuss on this? Anyway,
Well, I mean, what
Ms.
about?
Ms. Boyd was in queue.
Can we still get this draft of a org chart? And can you send that to all of us?
And it's unique to Sumner
You know
County.
what, there's some other commissioners that are not here tonight. Can you send that to all commissioners, because I don't wanna leave anybody out?
Yeah, whatever you want.
Thank you.
The other concern is constitutional offices.
That was my,
Is he, the mayor, required to do that since he's an elected, just like the
that's the
sheriff?
question.
And my other questions are gonna be, are we overstepping our bounds? I just wanna make sure and that's gonna be what I wanna see come back. If we're overstepping our bounds, then, I mean, that pretty much tells us.
I don't think it's unreasonable
No.
to ask, it's just whether or not we can compel. Okay, any other action on this one?
Just a second.
Okay, let's keep on
You
moving
said this
here.
would take just a second.
Multi-year lease, you have any other discussion you wanna add? Okay. So, multi-year lease, this was also not on the,
Tax refunds.
We had an
oh, wait, sorry, no, we're at B. 'Cause
B one and two, group and approved, I so moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. Okay, now we're at C1.
Move to refer.
All right, we have a motion to refer
Second.
back to Health and Emergency Services, I'm
Yes.
assuming?
Yeah.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, I have one question before we
Already voted.
voted.
Which one did you vote
Too
on?
late.
The multi-year lease, is that gonna break anything?
No, voting for all of them? or-
No, voting
No,
to
just
refer.
one.
I do have some input
Couple of
on
them,
that.
yeah, let's talk about the first one.
We need to.
Are you talking about item one?
Okay, yeah, I'd like to entertain a motion to reconsider.
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Reconsider.
Aye.
Any opposed?
C1.
For C1, go ahead.
C1?
C number one, if you look at the email, I believe that came into effect this month, and where they've got the jail to monitor those. Where my understanding is from the jail administrator per the email, that they're actually gonna have to have somebody to watch these folks the whole
Yeah.
time, which will cost them some
I-
money.
So we need to approve this tonight.
And let me just kind of speak what these are. There's a couple of things. This one does have subject to appropriation, so it's basically saying, you know, if next year this isn't paid, it will die. The reason we send these leases are if they're across multiple years, then what we do is we put an asset in and expense them in the subsequent years, which is an appropriation. We do that for all assets. So these are things that's actually paid for, but they're for future periods. For like these next two, A and B are for, like 2A and B are for 3-year contracts. They were paid up front. And then item C is for a 1-year, 365 that splits in the middle of the year. That's why we're doing it, because it guarantees you appropriations next year. Probably something you wouldn't even really necessarily want to send to another
Going all the way
committee.
through, just let it go.
Okay.
I have a question just regarding this item. I'm on health and emergency. I don't even know the answer. Is this a GPS for their vehicles? Is this the GPS tracking that we're putting on inmates
I
now
think
for
it's
the new
only
state
in-
law?
It's in 123. They bought it through Tyler Munis.
Which one is it?
Can I
I mean,
speak to
and
that?
if it
Go
had
ahead.
been in committee.
So what this
that-
is a new law went into effect January 1. And
Is this the
it-
inmate?
Yes, inmate GPS monitoring. And the purpose of that is better location of
I understand.
the
law.
inmates, plus we can start offsetting some of those costs when they're used on work crews and things like that, because we put that municipality responsible for the budgeting. And actually, there leads on to some other things, but this did just go into effect, and it will need to be addressed pretty quickly. Otherwise, it's gonna be a serious man-hour burden for the sheriff's department until we're in compliance
So
with
we
the
have,
GPS.
we have a motion, I'll second it.
It's a
Motion to
safety
approve.
issue. Yeah.
Have-
So I still have questions that didn't come through health and emergency, and I still don't understand the cost, and I don't understand how much cost we're gonna have going forward, and are we going to work this in health and emergency to understand? I mean, it's a law we're gonna have to comply with, but I don't know if we understand the burden that we're going to incur.
I'd have to let the sheriff's department speak to why they picked that vendor.
And I don't wanna do this at budget, I just wanna make the comment that I would have liked to have worked on
Why
this.
don't you make a motion to have, send this back?
It's going to break, is what I'm hearing, that they need to do this.
You can approve, but you can make an amendment, sorry, Matt.
Okay,
No, go ahead, go ahead.
You can make an amendment just to have Health and Emergency Services put this on their agenda. We send them to investigate this back before it comes back to us
Yeah,
in June.
Well,
Or whenever.
but there's a manpower issue for the next 30 days, that's the problem.
I'm not talking about delaying the
He's
fund.
he's
about
saying
budget
fund it.
cycle.
I'm
Oh.
talking about
Fund
getting
it
answers questions.
and go
It needs to go to
back.
committee to understand her questions.
All these
That's-
items are already funded. This first one, for instance, when you do a lease, if they end up material, you have to show a source and use, so we're sending it to the county commission where they can budget it. The next one, 2A, B, and C, and the one added D, they're already appropriated, but what you got going on is they're buying multi-year contracts, so the expense goes into next year. Only county commission can approve appropriations, so that's why we send them to you guys. They're not asking for any more appropriations right now.
it's just the crossover.
Right, and the same
Yes.
thing, there's things they would do anyway, so I'm not really sure this is something you would necessarily want to send to another committee, but you may want to have them
Understand.
here to answer those questions. It's more of a financing issue.
So for budget,
It's more of a budget
we
issue.
need this information going forward there. I
Right,
understand.
and usually the chief deputy has somebody here, I'm not sure what happened, not something
Pass
we
it
have.
He had a, he's quite tied up.
Right, he's usually here, just
So-
something unusual. Most of the time he'll be here to explain it.
All right, so we have a motion. Did you have an amendment? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. C2, IT Department is Meraki purpose A, B, and C.
And
D.
Oh, and D, yeah, with the one I added with the multi-year lease.
And
So these are all software purchases.
I move to group and approve.
Second, all in favor?
Can I have a question?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I know it's late, I'm sorry. The subscription renewal and stuff, that's just for finance, are any of this going for our new courthouse, folks? I'm just
No.
wondering, is it more because of the new courthouse,
No.
judicial and stuff we're picking up? That's only my question.
Item
If this
C-
is normal.
Item C is just the Office 365, because it's in the middle of the year, part of the big expense this year, next year. The bottom one, item D that got added is because if we don't do it, we'll lose the cyber insurance. We didn't realize that till after this meeting. Item 1 and 2 is from Meraki and Citric, and we buy 3-year contracts, so 2 years of expense is gonna be next year. And I think those are existing, or is that the new courthouse?
All existing.
These are
All existing. That was my question, thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, 3, item A is 13,000 for sheriff's CID, it's a HVAC replacement.
I move to group and approve three.
All right,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
They're not appropriation, they just need to be spread on the minister commission.
So, so this is the election commission's attorney's request for funding. Mr. Long, can you speak to this?
Mr. Sidley may be aware that there was a request from their attorney for, I think, $30,000 odd dollars that's in here. We also tacked out the stuff we received from, I think it's the assistant to the administrative elections that we received the other day. Both of these we received after the deadline for the meeting, but I went ahead and put it in the packet the way you guys could consider possible they were passed.
What is it? So this is for the election commission's, legal fees to sue us, right?
No, this is for the.
Was that it? No, this
No.
wasn't it, okay.
This is for
Can we talk
additional
about that?
lines.
Oh, yeah, we
Executive
need, we need a motion.
Do we need an executive?
I think we
session?
need an executive session for this.
All right. Is there a motion?
Yeah,
I'll make it.
Motion?
that's it.
And a
Second.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I need to leave it, thanks.
I'd be curious if there's a representative here for them before we even go down there.
Yeah,
There's one in the back, he's right there.